One resident of the Florida Panhandle who vowed to ride out Hurricane Michael has written his name on his arm in black marker to help identify his body if he dies. Randy Simmons, 57, made the grim preparation on Wednesday morning at his Panama City Beach condo, shortly before Michael made landfall as a potentially lethal Category 4 storm. Sipping coffee on the deck of his condo just yards from the beach, Simmons calmly showed his arm to a Miami Herald reporter as the swells began to roil. "You just never what's going to happen in these situations," he said. "People do die." Simmons did plan to retreat a few miles inland to his second property before landfall, after finishing preparations at the beachfront condo. "I was going to stay here until it go to a Category 4, Simmons said. "This is going to be a big mess." Simmons is not alone among those who have ignored mandatory evacuation orders. Despite days of dire warnings, these holdouts have decided to remain, and some even talk of attending a hurricane party at a Panama City beach bar that lies directly in Michael's path. For those who refuse to evacuate, FEMA Director Brack Long said on Wednesday that people who stick around and experience storm surge unfortunately don't usually live to tell about it. Share this article. Share among the evacuation holdouts is Timothy Thomas, who isn't budging from his home in Panama City Beach, even though it's directly in the path of Hurricane Michael. Thomas, a 50-year-old air conditioning repairman, plans to defy an evacuation order and ride out the monster storm in an apartment that's just a few hundred yards from the beach, and even closer to the tea-colored Grand Lagoon, which will rise as the massive storm pushes ocean water toward the coast. An Illinois native with a beard, long hair and a streak of independence, Thomas hasn't been through a major hurricane before. He's only lived in Panama City Beach about 7 years. A neighbor with far more storm experience evacuated to higher ground. But police aren't being pushy about enforcing the order, and Thomas figures he, his wife and their puppy will be okay, since they live in a second-floor apartment. It's more than 10 feet off the ground, after all, and forecasters say the water in his area isn't supposed to rise that much. "If it does, I guess we'll be swimming," he said Tuesday evening as the sky darkened overhead. Thomas isn't alone. Other residents along his street also plan to take on Michael head-on, even though authorities have told about 120,000 residents of Bay County to leave. Thomas's first-floor neighbors also plan to stay, and they're welcome upstairs if the water gets too high, Thomas said. So are his next-door neighbors and their dog. "We've got canned food and a can opener. We have lots of water and food for the dogs, and I'm going to tape up the windows, cover the windows, just tack them up with sheets or whatever to keep the glass from flying if that happens," he said. As Thomas spoke, a hurricane party was going on less than 2 miles away at Buster's Beer and Bait, a dive bar popular both with locals and tourists who overwhelm the region during the summer. With Michael percolating out in the Gulf of Mexico on Tuesday night, dozens of people gathered outside Buster's as small palm trees swayed in the breeze nearby. On the bar's Facebook page, a $5 special was announced for a drink called the Storm Surge. There was no answer at the bar when DailyMail.com attempted to reach it by phone on Wednesday morning. Other places were shut down and locked up. The windows were covered with metal hurricane shutters at Pineapple Willie's, a popular beachfront restaurant, and sandbags blocked the entrance to a Wells Fargo bank. Plywood covered the front at Shrimp City, a small seafood market. Dwight Williams, who lives across the street from Thomas, wasn't taking any chances. He and his wife were packing to evacuate. They plan to stay with friends in Defuniak Springs, a panhandle town about 30 miles inland. Their single-story home is built to withstand winds blowing up to 130 miles per hour, Williams said, but rising water is scary. "What worries me is the storm surge," said Williams, who has lived on the street about 24 years. Thomas said relatives in Illinois had urged him to leave and stay with them, but he didn't have a way to get so far north so quickly, and shelters aren't a good option in his view. "You never know who you're sleeping beside," he said. "Here, I do. So Thomas and his wife will stay put. And once the wind stops howling and the water recedes, Thomas will await the natural outcome of a hurricane for someone who works in the air conditioning business in a place known for hot, humid summers. After all the air conditioners go underwater, we'll be busy," he said. Another Panama City Beach resident, Terry Vega, 53, said her husband and 12-year-old daughter will remain despite the evacuation order. "We have a fairly new house," Vega told NBC News before Michael strengthened to a Category 4 storm. "It was built really well. We put the hurricane shutters up. We have tubs of water in each of the bathrooms so that we can still flush. We have a generator. We have a gas grill. Tons of canned food, water, Gatorade." Inland in Panama City, Missy Thies, 54, told NBC News that she lives just outside a mandatory evacuation zone, but planned to stay because they have 5 animals, 2 cats, 2 small dogs, and a pit bull. "Nobody is going to let a pit bull into a shelter," Thies said before Michael was upgraded. "We've got 5 animals here. I'm not leaving them. Point blank. I'm not leaving them." Thies said the family is prepared with water, food and a generator. About 90 miles west of Panama City Beach, in Pensacola Beach, one man even planned to ride out the storm on his sailing boat. Though Pensacola is not projected to get dangerous storm surges, tropical storm force winds are predicted in the area. "If I can move my lines up and down, the boat's good. And now it looks like I know it's going to Panama City. We're watching this thing. It's an educated decision," former Coast Guardsman Jeff Platke told Fox News. He said he'd chosen the marina where he'd make his stand carefully. "This marina survived Ivan. Man, if I'm going to put myself somewhere, I'm going to put myself somewhere good. I'm a sailor, I'm not a village idiot," he added. Even some tourists in Pensacola Beach are opting to ride out the storm in their hotels rather than evacuate. "We're staying," George Kern of Chicago told the Pensacola News-Journal. Kern and his wife Christine were making their 3rd trip to Pensacola Beach and are staying at a hotel on the beach. "It's just Mother Nature," he said. Christine Kern said the couple is prepared to go without power and water for a short period. "If we lose power, we have a little stove to cook with," she said. He added, "And I'm not going to be without coffee."